Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is the first video on my channel. Channel's name is Doubling One, but you know this because you've already found me. Okay, this is going to be an interesting series. I'm going to try and turn $400. I've already placed one trade, that's why it is 417. $400 into $1 million. Now I know that sounds absolutely ridiculous. I've been trading for almost, what's that, 12 years now? So I know that is ridiculous, but this is just some sort of challenge to catch people's eye. But this YouTube channel will eventually morph into showing most of my accounts or different methods, because I do trade three methods at the moment, and I'm testing a fourth. This one is the most outlandish, and I'm pushing it to the absolute max. I don't actually recommend trading this way unless you have some spare money to use here and there. So I'm just going to throw $400 because that's fine with me. I'm happy if I lose the $400. I've done this before with $200 and I turned it to 20,000. So I am comfortable with it, but after that 20,000, I did blow the 20,000. So this is essentially the same thing, but I've toned down the risk a little bit. Anyone that knows anything about trading is going to laugh at the fact of me toning down the risk when I explain exactly what I'm going to be doing. But we'll see how we go. So yeah, this is $400 to 1 million. I'll explain the trade in a sec, but this channel is pretty much going to be a update every now and then. I can't promise to once per week, although I would love to do once per week. I do actually have a life outside of trading. This was my full-time job, and then it became more a hobby as I guess the stress of trading got too much. I was making a full-time living off this in the past, and then when COVID happened, it all just became a little bit too much when this was the only thing going on. So now it's more a hobby, although you will see that I do in fact put in most of my time trading still. Okay, I'm going to move to Excel where I will explain this method and what I'm looking at. This is the plan. The plan is I start with $400. As you can see, let me spread it out here. I have hopefully ending balance of 1 million. I know that's ludicrous, but just stick with me. Here we go. So every trade, there's four phases to every section. We got $400, and then at the end of each section, I want to profit 8%. And then we're going to do this 102 times. I think my goal is to do one section per week. So obviously that's just over a little over 2 years, but there will be setbacks, and you'll see why when I explain it. So every trade, it's essentially, I have a gambling background, and this will become very obvious after I explain this, but essentially I'm stealing from what is called a martingale or a progressive betting system, but I'm doing it in a way that I'm got the house edge and I'm a little bit more clever about it. So I'm going to place one trade for $8 on my account, and then if that loses, I will place another trade for 24. If that loses, 56. If that loses, another one for 120. Little over 50%, but if we lose all four, we go down 50%. So if you can see here, if I lost all four of these, we would lose $208 with a balance of 104, although that's if you do it on the first attempt, because you're making $8 per tranche or per trade or lot. Each one of these two will be each individual trade. I'll go into this further as we go, but you want to get four correct, four goes at it correct, and then we will move on. So I've actually had two goes at it already. I will go back into the charts and explain. There was a slight mistake, but we had two goes at it, so we're up $17, which would be 8 and 8 plus there was a dollar slippage, which we got in the end. So you've got $17. We are halfway there for this week. This is the first week I've opened this account. I will make the account public on my FX book so everyone can follow along and see exactly where I'm at and how I'm going. I'll link that in the description. So if we were both attempts to, we won on the first trade. But if we were to lose the first one of $8, you then do 24. And then if you lose the 24 and the $8, you go there. But they're not the same trades, they're all individual ideas. So we're over four trades if you got each one incorrect. That's how I'm going to scale this up. So you see we're 2. So we get 2 more, then we've done all this. Then I will delete this row, and then I'll change this to the balance, and then we'll be on number 2. And I'll highlight it green, like this, or just the top one, once I achieve it, and then we'll go again. Now, if there's a loss, because that is, you should be scheduling your trades towards being mechanic and boring, and if there's a loss, you should know exactly what you're going to do. If you have 4 losses, say here we lose this. Actually, we'll do it down here so that it makes a little bit more sense. Say we have the 4 losses here. We're going to lose about $500. So it's going to bring us, it'll actually bring us probably closer to 3 than here. And then we're just going to start again. We're going to scale all the way back down to here and then attempt to get another 11 correct. And then we'll be back where we are. So that's why I said that if we got every single one correct, it would only take us 2 years, but that's not going to happen. I'm quite realistic about this. I don't even think, if we get to the $1 million, I think it'll be like, really, really awesome or, great news, but got to be a little bit realistic about this and how we go about it. Okay, let's go back to the charts and then I can show you exactly what I'm looking at, because this is not the full picture. This is 4 trades in a row. It's like a hybrid martingale system or a gambling system. You'll see that that's like quite silly, but actually what I'm doing is I'm placing on a demo account my idea or the way I trade. And then if I get 3 of those wrong on that demo account, I'm actually then placing this first one. So I don't trade all the time. In fact, I'm only in trades maybe, I have to look at the exact statistics, but I'm only in trades 1 or 2 days a week. Although I'm trading demo constantly full time with this system. This is only this system too. I trade many systems which balance it all out. And all the other systems are nowhere near as gambly or risky as this. But this is the first one I wanted to show on YouTube to see what kind of appetite there was. But this one's way more risky than the other ones. So what would happen is I'd place one trade, and if that loses, I'd place another one. That loses, I place another one. That loses, I place another one, and then I place my $8 trade. So my $8 trade is actually not the first trade. I'm not placing this all the time. Some people might say, oh, why don't you do it all the time? Well, it's because the way I trade, it's mostly off trend lines or what looks good on a chart. And while that does work majority of the time, and you can base trade it and make money, if you want to scale it up like this, you're going to have more than 3 losses, quite common. Having 7 losses is actually extremely rare. I've only had 7 losses once in the last 3 years, which is how I blew the 20,000, but it's actually very, very rare. So if I was doing the slower way on the past system, I'd be down to 10,000, but I'd still be going, and I actually probably would have recovered by now. But yeah, let's see how this one goes. Okay, let's go back to the charts and I'll explain that a little bit more. I use IC Markets. I've been using them for most of my time. I tried quite a few other ones, but this was the best one. I think their support has gone down a little bit, but I still use them. I say that because they recently had an update and all my accounts on this got cleared, and then when I reset, my demo account hasn't loaded properly on this with all my back testing and everything marked up. So extremely frustrating. I can still get it on my laptop, but not on my desktop, and I can get it on my phone. But people who are trading off phones, I don't know. That's something else. So anyway, for example, I'll show you the trade I made this week. I said I made 2, but this is the thing. When it reset, it didn't actually display my trades properly. I contacted support, and they said I in fact placed the same trade twice, although it didn't show up at the time. So a little bit frustrating, but I'm counting those 2 and I'm just moving on because look, these mistakes are going to happen as we go on through the week. That's just the way it is. So this is the one trade I placed that was profitable. It was here. We came down. I was looking for the support over here, this section. And then I had my stop loss just below here. Oh, I always trade 1-to-1, by the way. All these, I probably should have mentioned that in the back when we were back at the Excel, but every trade is 1-to-1. So I was risking $8 to make $8 down here, and then so stop loss was here. Obviously hit the take profit here, marked up as twice, although it was only one trade. If you see, they're both the same trades. So that was the one trade I did for the week. but there was many demos. I can't show you on this. I will get it to work hopefully by next time, or pop up here somehow. Yeah, I'll have to work around, have a look. Anyway, I'll link this in the bottom so you can follow along, and then once I get my demo, I'll show you. But essentially, I took 3 other trades this week. I took many trades, but before this was 3 other trades that were all incorrect. And then that was the first trade I took on my system, because if you remember, we have 4 attempts, but that's after I get 3 trades wrong. I hope this is not overly confusing. It sounds a lot more simple in my head. I think as we go on with time, you'll understand exactly what I'm doing, but that's just the way it is. Okay, well, thank you for finding my YouTube channel. I will come back with an update, hopefully next week, but we'll see. Depending on time restraints and if there's anything to report. If I haven't made any trades for the week, there's no point in placing another video because I'll just be talking about just general stuff. Where I see this channel going though is I would like this to be like the catchy headline that brings people in. And while this is fun, this is not ultimately the way you should be trading or looking at your trading. So I will start showing you my other strategies, which is a lot more well thought out and actually has a lot more maths designed to it rather than kind of a silly system like this. I say silly, but like it still does work. So it's not that silly. But the other systems are very every trade is exactly the same. It's kind of boring. I can just explain it, and that's the way it is. Every week I just go through my trade ideas, but it does make money, and I hope it also inspires some people to think out of the box. I do spend a lot of my time to researching and reading what others are doing or approaching the market, because I like to know the market sentiment. I don't trust, see, IC Markets has like a market sentiment up here. I don't really trust brokers' sentiments that much. I'd rather see what the general public is saying, or at least the vocal minority. And I research a whole bunch of other trades, but everyone seems to be trading. Well, everyone has their own definitive way of trading. Like you have to use 1 to 2 risk to reward. You have to only risk 1% of your account. All these other things, but I think that's quite limiting. I think you'll find that most people who trade for a living don't actually just follow one standard way. In fact, they incorporate a whole bunch of ways to diversify. Like for example, here I got a $400 account that I'm just trying out, but in saying that, if you do 5 different trading methods at $400 each, that's $2,000. That's way more diversified than doing one method with your $2,000, risking 2%. This is actually more diversified. But anyway, I'll explain all that as time goes on. Really appreciate everyone who stuck through the waffling. This will essentially be what my channel will be. And I'll change to also talking about news and other things coming up as this develops in time. Really appreciate the follow. If you subscribe, that would mean a lot to me to gauge how much interest there is on this. And yeah, thank you for following along with the journey. I say Jersey or journey? I don't know. We'll see. Okay, thanks everyone.